Audiobooks Radio presents Jesus, The Complete Works. Written by W. W. Cope. Narrated by David Tredinnick. Preface. The whole story of Jesus has not been told before. His philosophy has never been laid out in full. This came to me as a surprise when I began this project, to piece together Jesus' complete works. Several years later, I think I have managed to track down every ancient text that tells any part of the Jesus biography and records what he had to say. Across multiple translations, the sources come to more than 20,000 pages. Sometimes the text is obscure, often it is fragmentary. In Jesus, the Complete Works, I have tried to make overall sense of this, arranging every biographical fragment into narrative order, and organising Jesus' ideas around the development of his philosophy. How could it be that so much of Jesus has until now remained hidden? This question can only be answered by tracing a long history of censorship. The New Testament narrative we have today was selected by just 44 men at a meeting held in the year 382. This was 3.5 centuries after the events of Jesus' life and the speeches in which he outlined his thinking. These men were bishops of the Catholic Church, charged by Pope Damasus I to collect the books of Jesus into a single authorized version. Christianity had been made the official religion of the Roman Empire by Emperor Theodosius I just 2 years before. As men, as church officials, and as servants of empire, the bishops wanted some things to be known about Jesus, but not others. This is despite the fact that these cancelled books were widely circulated, and their message ardently believed by Christians in the first centuries of the religion. Over the past century, there have been some remarkable rediscoveries of books about Jesus and his philosophy that had been censored by the institutional church. For centuries, it was thought these were lost forever. From these books, we can now recover the officially cancelled parts of the Jesus story. We can quote his deleted words and thoughts. Why does this matter to us now? Because the whole story changes the edited version, and the whole philosophy changes the institutional theology. Here are just a few of the things that the Complete Works uncover. Jesus was the first philosopher in human history to criticize striving for wealth and its consequences in inequality. Of course, privileged bishops in an empire based on slavery and the colonization of subject peoples would want to tone down or even eliminate this part of Jesus' teachings. Jesus also had a respect for the intellectual power and moral strength of women. A male-dominated church would, of course, want to downplay this. The edited narrative trivialized Mary, for instance, by reducing her greatness in the improbable story that she was able to give birth without having been diminished by sex. She plays a more substantial role in the Complete Works. Then there are the miracles. The bishops had come to base their business of capturing the faithful with magical promises of miracle cures and life after death. When we return to the original texts and read them in their fullness, we find more realistic and more believable versions of these incidents in the life and works of Jesus. Here are a few examples of the way the story changes. Spoiler alert. Jesus is reticent about his miracles, which the church writers may have invented or exaggerated. People at the time certainly wanted to believe the rumours that Jesus was a miracle worker, but he always tried to play these down. As for Jesus' birth by a virgin, we discover several alternatives in the ancient texts. One possibility is that Joseph, an older man entrusted by the synagogue officials to be Mary's guardian, may have concocted a story about Jesus' paternity to cover his own guilt. Another possible explanation of Jesus' paternity can be found in Joseph's accusation that Mary had sex with another man. Either way, both had reason to create the virgin birth story, however far-fetched. And rising from the dead. It seems quite possible that Jesus was still alive when he was brought down from the cross, because the soldiers had not broken his legs, the usual Roman practice at crucifixions.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?